Hello, third graders. Today and this week, we'll be studying text features. Now, in our small groups last week, we talked a little bit about some text features of a book that help the readers understand what the author is trying to say. Now, what you need to get right now, if you had a book bin that you picked up at the beginning of the year, you all got this book, Endangered Animals. I need you to find this book. Now, I only have 5 students that should not have this book, and I have those online available for them on ClassKick. It's called Endangered Animals, and you can look on it on ClassKick. Everyone else, you won't have access to that because you should already have it on your in hand, okay? Let's go ahead and get started. So text features, like I said, are parts of a text that help us understand what's going on. One that we all probably already know is a title page. Okay, I want you to think for a second, what things does a title page tell us? It tells us the name of the book, sometimes the publisher or who created the series. We have Scholastic. And our title page is sometimes copied inside the book, and it will tell us the author, maybe illustrators or photographers that also helped create this book. So that's the title page. If you keep flipping through, we come to the table of content. Content are things in the book. So this is a table of things that are in the book. In this book, they label their table of content by chapter. And you can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chapters, and then 4 chapters, and then words you need to know and index. And we'll talk about those in a little bit. If you push your finger over to the end, you see that there are 3 dots, an ellipse, and then it tells us a number. That number is where I can find that chapter. So let's see, I want to read about animals in danger. So I want to learn about animals in danger. Then I can look at the bottom of the page where the numbers are and find page number 5. And then look right there, the heading, the chapter name is Animals in Danger, and that's on page number 5. Okay, so we have chapters in our table of content, and it tells us where to go. Sometimes the chapters names will help us understand what is in that chapter. So I will probably learn about animals that are in danger in the chapter called Animals in Danger. Let's go to one more chapter, Saving Endangered Animals. Maybe I wanted to learn what I could do to save endangered animals. I could go to page 28. I'm looking at the bottom. It's higher than 23. Page 28, and there you see the heading, Saving Endangered Animals. And I could read about how to save endangered animals. So those are the parts of the table of content. Table of content is in the beginning of a book, and it tells you the chapter names and what might be in the book, the content of the book, and where to find those on the page numbers. Now, we already looked at the headings. That is the chapter titles that tell us what we're probably going to read about. And we talked a little bit about photographs last week in our close read. Photographs are real pictures that someone took. Now, the difference between a photograph and an illustration is an illustration is something that an artist drew. Right? If they drew it, then it's an illustration. If it was taken like a picture and it is real, then that is a photograph. Okay, now I'm going to flip through here a little bit and see if I can find, here we go. This would be an illustration. It was a drawn picture of something. Now there are words at the bottom. These are called captions. Captions tell us what the picture is showing us. So if I just look at this picture, I was like, okay, it's a bird and then two other birds. But if I read the caption, it says, this dodo bird, that's the name of the bird, so I learned something from that, was painted in 1626. And the passenger pigeons were photographed in 1898. So this is a photograph, so that would be a photograph, not an illustration, and this would be an illustration because it was painted. A dodo bird, and then these were called passenger pigeons. So I learned something from the captions underneath the pictures. So we have table of content at the beginning of the book telling us how to navigate, how to get through the book. It's like our map. Table of content is our map of the book. Our headings tell us what is within each chapter. Photographs are real pictures. Illustrations are drawings of things, and captions tell us what is in those pictures, in the illustrations or the photographs. So we can flip through kind of quickly and see that there are captions, sometimes that have complete sentences, and sometimes they just have one word. Maybe it just tells us what the animal is, okay? Or maybe it's giving us additional information like this. It's always good to read captions underneath pictures. Now let's see if, there we go. Now, if we read through the whole book and we come to the very end, there are two things at the end of the book that help you understand what's going on inside of it. This last part right here, it gives us words and definitions. It tells us how to say it in a definition. This is called a glossary. This is called a glossary. A glossary gives us definitions of words we may not know. And our index at the end is also like part of a map. So let's say I want to find a specific thing in this book and I didn't see it in the table of content. Maybe I wanted to find, let me see, polar bears. And I was looking in the table of content and none of the chapters said polar bears. So I'm not really sure where to look. To find it quicker, I can go to the back of the book, and our index is in alphabetical order. So I'm looking for P's. So I'm going through the A's, B's, all the way down C's, E's, I's, N's, O's, and P's. So I see polar bears right there, polar bears. And it tells me I can read about polar bears on page 17. So let's see if that's right. Let's go to page 17. And right there, look, there's a polar bear. So an index can help you find specific words inside a text. One last review. We have our title page. It gives us our title, the publishers, and our author. The table of contents is our map of the book. It tells us chapter names and where to start them. Photographs are real pictures. Illustrations are drawn pictures. Captions tell us what these mean. In the back, a glossary gives us definitions, and an index can help us find specific words in the book. Okay. Now let's see if there are any bold words in here. Sometimes authors will put words in bold, meaning that they are darker, like this. They will put them in bold to tell us that that's a word you need to look up because you might not know that word. And a lot of third grade books have words in bold because the author wants you to understand what you are reading. If a word is in bold, you can normally go back to the glossary at the back of the book and it will tell you what that word means. Now we'll be practicing these more throughout the week. And as you are reading through any of your books for AR, I want you to think about the different kinds of text features your books have. Does a fiction book have some similar text features than a nonfiction book. Look through them and see if you can find some similarities and differences.